Well, today I'm with my friend Matthew Theurer. He's the CEO and co-founder of HyperSpectral AI. And HyperSpectral AI is the world's first artificial intelligence-powered spectral data platform using AI-infused spectroscopy to power a healthier tomorrow. So, Matthew, it's great to have you today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Well, let's first of all talk about the problem that you're solving and how you're using AI to solve that problem.
Sure. So the problem we're trying to solve in a nutshell is rapid detection of, we use the phrase unwanted substances in food in human beings or pretty much in almost any background substance. But to be a little more specific, it's we're using this right now to solve the ability to rapidly detect pathogens, bacteria specifically, both in human beings, whether it's in blood or synovial fluid or urine, um, or in food safety, in foodstuffs or processing equipment, and to do it in a matter of a couple of minutes with no sample prep and no sample growth versus current methods, which can take days or in some pathogens weeks to be able to detect.
Hmm.
Right, so we're trying to get this done in minutes.
I heard
Um,
you talk about the example of COVID testing and how that was a
yes,
slow turnaround time. And with your technology, I don't know if it's today or maybe in the future, you can t detect like viruses and pathogens and food bacteria and all kinds of things instantly. So that's what you're addressing, right?
but it's close to instant, right?
Okay.
Right now we're at about 5 to 10 minutes to be able to detect uh, bacteria, and honestly, they also tell whether they're antibiotic resistant or not. Um, Direct from blood, right? So
Hmm.
there's no of the kind of the standard spinning it down. There's no culturing. There's no growing the bacteria. It's direct from sample in 5 to 10 minutes, and we're looking to make this even faster. And we're at the point where we can detect a single bacterium, right, in a very complex background, right? So you imagine there's a lot of stuff in blood or in urine that is not the bacteria.
Hmm.
But we're able to find it and identify it down to substrain levels.
And you mentioned that there's a mix of software and biology, and I'm imagining, and I think I read that there's a hardware aspect as well. You're combining software and hardware to scan for these things.
Correct, correct. So we don't make hardware. We use third-party hardware. We work with a variety of hardware vendors, but there's a level of automation and control that our software has to do when you're trying to target, again, something that's like a micron in size, right? You talked about extremely small in these complex backgrounds. So we interface with the hardware, we control it, we tell it what to do, we gather the spectral signatures, and then we analyze it against these databases we built so that we can pick out a bacteria and say that is Staph aureus and it's the antibiotic resistant version of Staph, or that is an E. coli bacteria and it's 0157, which is the deadly E. coli versus the others. And there's obviously all the software layer, the AI layer. There's kind of robotic control. There's integration of multiple optical technologies, so it's a combination of microscopy, hyperspectral imaging, Raman spectroscopy. All of these go into play, and then from the biology perspective, you have to understand what it is you're looking for, what's dangerous, what's innocuous, what can we ignore. Um, all of this designed to be very simple, right? So that it doesn't take a highly trained lab tech. It's something, the long run, the goal is almost anybody can use this technology and understand, if they have an infection or not, or if their food product is safe.
And so the greatest benefit, I mean, I know there's lots of benefits, but I think I saw where you said lowered healthcare costs, and then also treating the disease or virus or bacteria instead of just throwing the kitchen sink at it is very targeted treatment rather than just a shotgun.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, right. So it's if you can give a doctor upfront the knowledge that what the bacterium is that's causing the infection, and literally within a couple of minutes. So you go into an ER, right? Within a couple of minutes, if you go in there and you're presenting with an infection, the doctor can say, "Oh, you have Pseudomonas, or you have staph." Um, they can target the treatment with the proper antibiotic immediately instead of waiting, 2 or 3 days or and taking a broad, a guess at the broad spectrum antibiotic that's necessary, right? So yeah, you're reducing costs in terms of the antibiotics that are appropriate to use. You're reducing the growth of or the spread or development of antibiotic resistant bacteria by using the appropriate ones, and you're certainly reducing costs in that you're getting people in and out,
Mm.
um, uh, in a very rapid time frame, but more importantly, with the proper care.
How much market penetration have you seen so far? Like, are you just getting started? Do you?
We're just getting started. We have um, efforts going on with multiple significant hospital chains and university hospital systems as they're working with us to not only vet and validate the technology, but address specific use cases, right? Telling us, oh, hey, we need to have this be able to have this in an operating room. And the use case in the operating room is red light, green light, as opposed to say in their back end lab where they need to understand a lot more of the details of what's going on. Right. So the engagement we have with the healthcare system is really, really encouraging. Everybody's really, really excited at the technologies that we've developed. Um, and we're working with a university on a World Health Organization funded project to be able to detect tuberculosis in the field. Right, it's not a huge problem here in the states, though we did have an outbreak in Kansas City earlier this year of tuberculosis. But it's a real problem in Africa and Southeast Asia, right? And those are somewhat austere environments from access to healthcare facilities. So we're really excited about being able to solve a problem that affects a significant portion of the world.
So talking about diagnosing things in the field, I imagine, and I think I heard you talk about the equipment cost, not that you sell equipment, but making this more accessible because the actual hardware used to scan is much more affordable. And then if you're talking about in the field, you would have to have kind of a device that's pretty ubiquitous, right?
It is right. So traditional spectroscopy hardware has been very, very expensive. Um, 10 years ago, some of the equipment that we work with would have been $1 million for one device. Now, these are dropping into the low five figures. You get to scale, right? And this equipment can be, you know, in the low four figures, maybe even down into three, right? Which would be absolutely fantastic, right?
Like a
Um,
smartphone, right?
yeah, right. Exactly, right. And when you get to that level of cost with the capabilities of the sensors, it's just absolutely amazing what we'll be able to accomplish with this, right? So yeah, we're really focused on working with our hardware partners to not only deliver to them the specifications of exactly what we need to see, but working with them to develop scaling strategies so that they can get this hardware down. So where a small doctor's office or clinic that's out in a remote location can actually afford this,
Hmm.
right?
I heard you mention something about in the future, maybe even the iPhone or a smartphone, you could scan something in your refrigerator and see the bacteria.
Yes,
So
yes.
is that a reality? Is that coming on the horizon?
That is actually very close to reality, right? So in that case, you're using something called a hyperspectral imager. Um, if you think of the camera on the back of your iPhone, or a standard camera, you get basically red, green, and blue, right? And everybody's heard the term RGB or
Hmm.
cyan, magenta,
Yellow and black.
and yellow, right? To a hyperspectral imager, looks like a camera. You can get a picture out of it just like a camera, but it actually measures every wavelength across a fairly significant range, right? Typically, something that could go into a phone would measure everything from about 400 nanometers to about 1,000 nanometers, right? Which is both fully brackets the visible light range, but you have a reading for every wavelength, and that's where you can start to pick up the data that identifies these things. Now I know, and I've spoken to the manufacturers of the chips, the sensors, who say they have sensors today that could fit inside of a phone and replace the camera and be a hyperspectral imager.
Hmm.
And when that comes into play, right, and these are ubiquitous into a phone, then yeah, you could enable all sorts of things that people could do, right? Look at the food in their fridge, look at the cut on their arm,
Hmm.
and say, "Oh, I'm seeing signs of God forbid, but I'm seeing signs of tetanus. Maybe I need to get myself to the doctors, right? That so all of that is certainly possible. We're a little ways off of that, mostly because the kind of a chicken and egg situation, right? The hardware, the phone manufacturers aren't going to put one in there until there's the killer app. The killer app needs to be there to drive the adoption, right? So I think the first thing we'll see is some sort of external device that hooks up to your phone,
Yeah.
and then you'll see it get adopted into the phones themselves.
I have seen, and I do have one, a thermal imaging device that you do plug into the bottom of your phone, and you can see, and you can change the settings so you can see infrared and thermal and different things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. It's think of that, but on steroids,
Yeah,
right?
got it.
With its capabilities and the range that it can see.
I see. So, since you talked about some, what did you say, some universities or some hospital systems, do you have some customer success stories that maybe you want to share that you have?
So this is a slightly different use case, but we're working with a company that makes bioreactors, and we were able to. And I'm just on the call on the phone with them earlier today. We were able actually to show that with our technology and our software stack, we're able to provide a spectral monitoring solution that nobody's been able to do before, right? Where they can actually monitor what's growing inside of a bioreactor, um, and understand what's happening. And right now that hasn't been possible in the past. Bioreactors, by the way, are the hardware used to grow vaccines and other pharmaceuticals, right? So yeah, it's really interesting, and a lot of the data we've got, uh, showing that we can, not only detect but differentiate between, say, methicillin-resistant staph or MRSA and methicillin susceptible staph. Is really got everybody excited, right? Because we're solving kind of two problems, right? Not only there's an infection, what's causing the infection, and is that infection antibiotic resistant?
So, is there an ideal prospect that would be best for you, or how would you like people to engage with you, or what types of companies or entities would you like to engage with you?
Right. So we're looking for kind of in two areas. One are companies interested in process analytic technology. That's kind of like the bioreactor use case. But we're really actively looking for hospital systems, testing companies, the lab testing companies, um, clinics who are interested in working with us to not only test and validate our products and get them into market, right, and start testing for these things, but also have use cases that they're interested in, right, that maybe we're not aware of, and they want to work with us to develop solutions.
Matt, this has been really interesting learning about hyperspectral, and I'm super excited to see the solution in most doctor's office. Any place that I would go, I'd love to have that speed to detect and all that stuff. So really interested in
That's
that, and would love to eventually even have a device that works in my phone so I could scan my own environment. I think that's
yeah.
really cool. So yeah, look
And
forward to
we're working on it.
awesome. Well, yeah,
All right.
really look forward to seeing the adoption and success of your company.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
All right, cool.